So tonight I'm going to talk about the great wealth transfer that's happening. It's incredible what's happening. There's time and place in history. It's so exciting. There's kind of two views. There's those people who think things are getting worse, and I can understand why. And there's other mindsets who go, this is such, is it the Great Reset or the Great Awakening right now? And I kind of look at it and go, this is the Great Awakening. This is an exciting time in history where generational wealth can happen as we're watching a wealth transfer actually occur. The last time I did this presentation was in a regional town, and I got up to the second video of Donald Trump, and 50% of the audience walked out at that point. So I'm going to warn you, I am playing political stuff, not to push a political agenda, but because politics, economics, and interest rates have such a big influence on the stock market, we have to watch these things, okay? And what I try to do, old journalist in me kicks in and tries to find what is the truth, what is actually going on, as opposed to the propaganda and spin that the media is telling us, okay? Because I actually studied a lot in propaganda in my university years. I thought it was fascinating. You study German history, and I thought, how does an entire generation get persuaded to do such evil atrocities? How did that work? And that got me into the media, not because I wanted to do evil, but I thought, well, if you can do evil by that, means you can also do good. And the only way you can change something is get involved in it. And that was my intermedia, that was my interest there. I had great history and English teachers that fueled that interest for me. But we will be talking about politics tonight, all right? And you're going to see some Trump, all right? And that's not because I'm saying it's just we're looking at the facts, what's going on, all right? Quick disclaimer before we get started. Before we start, we need to tell you up front, we're not a licensed financial planning, accounting, or law firm. We're simply an education company who'll give you factual information. We do not give any general or specific advice around this big list of things. Can we see what it is? Any specific advice around finance, business, investing, options, trading, accounting, cryptocurrency investing, or trading precious metals or anything like that. That's not what this presentation, of course, does. Please see a licensed financial planner, accountant, lawyer when it comes to any investment advice you need. We'll be talking about certain assets tonight. It's not a recommendation to buy this or anything like this. It's just this is what's going on in the market. All right? I need a cup of tea after that. All right, let's have a look at the first one. What's that?
You sound like you were fast forwarding.
Yeah, I like those political ads. It's spoken by, authorised by the such and party, Canberra. So this is a really important, and okay, I run a church foundation as well. And so I often am looking at what does Scripture say and what does it look at the markets. And I'm not going to be preaching it tonight, but this does influence my thinking. So have a look at this. This is the first suggestion of a wealth transfer. When you look at it, the benevolent man leaves an inheritance that endures to his children's children. So the baby boomer aspiration of I'm going to spend all the inheritance before I not give it to the kids, I don't agree with that. Because it says you've got to give it to not just your children, but your children's children. 2 generations, okay? So where are the wealth opportunities to influence 2 generations?
I'd better get working.
Better get working. Got some work to do. And we're going to be talking about that tonight, all right? And it's good news. It's not a burden, all right? But the wealth of the wicked is treasured up for the righteous. So if you want to find where wealth is, it's stored up by the wicked, it's treasured up for the righteous. Isn't that interesting? Who would dare say that some wicked entities control a lot of wealth these days?
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Fair observation? Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So this is where this concept comes from. And here's the mainstream media, CNN of all places, admitting there's a wealth transfer, how Trump's mega bill transfers wealth in the US. So if you want some mainstream media qualifications on this, there you go. There it is, okay? They're admitting it. And this was in 2025, May 24. All right, let's have a look at the next one. And so, this is really interesting. There's some fascinating stuff that's been happening just this week that I want you to update you on, all right? What 2 cities have traditionally been the biggest financial centers of the world? Anyone want to take a guess?
New York.
New York and where? Hong Kong, I'd say, is probably 3rd.
London town, because there's Big Ben.
London, there you go, gave it away. My wife gave it away. Big Ben, and those are the 2 big ones. Yes, and definitely Hong Kong. Singapore is certainly coming up in the ranks, but old money, London.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the New York Stock Exchange, right? Big money there. And of course, the crazy thing about America, it is the biggest economy in the world. And this is why we look at it. Because when America sneezes, the world feels it. get out the handkerchief, right? I don't look at a lot of what the Australian is. I do look at Australian because we live here, but Australian market is only about 1.6 GDP of the world's economy. So you've got to keep that in perspective, okay? I mean, think about this. California is the 4th or 5th biggest economy in the world. The California state alone, 4th or 5th. That's massive. But what I'm going to do tonight is show you where is the money moving to, because we're talking about a wealth transfer, okay? So let's have a look at the next one. Look at this story here. Rush to stockpile gold in New York leads to London shortage. Ooh, okay. These two big money centres wait to withdraw. Bullion's BOE rises sharply as fear of Trump tariffs drive shipments to the US. A surge in gold shipments to the US has led to a shortage of bullion in London as traders amass an $82 billion stockpile in New York over fears of Trump administration tariffs. This is from earlier this year, and this story was, they were worried about Trump's tariffs. Everybody heard about those? Okay, and they wanted to get the gold back in America in case he was going to tax it. So all this gold was sucked out of London, right? Because there was a big storage. Countries, nations put their gold in London. Okay, the city of London has been a big centre of finance. I know one of the directors of the biggest bullion. They're building a vault in Singapore at the moment. The biggest vault in the world is their aspiration. I know one of the directors there, and I spoke to him last year at this time, probably around August 2024, and he was telling me that he just got off talking to one of the central bankers, and because of the threats of war in the area, they wanted to move all the gold into Singapore. So Singapore is, I'm keeping my eye on Singapore. Just same time zone, closer to fly to here than it is to Sydney, right? It's pretty extraordinary.
And Singapore doesn't count gold as an asset, it's a commodity, so they can't confiscate it like they did in America.
They can't confiscate it like in America, and this is why a lot of investors like Singapore, because of these kind of rules, okay? And there are concerns about moving gold out of Australia as well with the laws around that. Good point. But look at that, there's those two cities. UK faces gold shortages. This is on January 29 this year, as traders send $82 billion to New York in anticipation of Trump tariffs. London's facing a gold shortage after traders put out bullion from the vaults of the Bank of England, stockpiled them in New York amid fears that Donald Trump will slap fresh tariffs on the shiny commodity. The British newspaper said that traders were amassed an $82 billion stockpile in New York in recent weeks. The report, quoting people familiar with the matter, added the apparent rush to gold out from the UK had left them facing a 4 to 8 week delay in recovering their investment. People can't get their hands on gold because so much has been shipped to New York and the rest is stuck in the queue. One industry executive was quoted as saying liquidity in the London market has been diminished. The Bank of England declined to comment. Okay, what was happening too, the fascinating thing about this is you can't just move it from London straight to New York, because the measurement of gold is different in London than it is in New York, in America. So they would have to take it to Sweden to remalt it, to resmold it, right? And then set it off. Can you imagine how expensive that is? It's heavy. You've got to insure it. The security around it is crazy. And then you've got to smelt it all in the middle. I mean, the logistics is nuts. But that's how much gold they were moving. When you're talking billions like that, you'll pay for the insurance, right? It's part of the cost of doing business. Let's have a look at the next one. This is pretty recent. This is October 11 of this year. Gold price prediction 2026. This is a great little article. What factors will drive values? And we get to the next slide. Looking at what's happening next year, the central bank is purchasing trends. It's been doing that for years. All the central banks have been buying gold, 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 gold. Anytime there's uncertainty in the markets, the banks love buying gold. China's been gobbling up our gold for years. Okay, Perth Mint is, I think, the second biggest mint in the world, right here in our backyard. And so it's a massive, massive industry. And of course, it gets most of its resources from the goldfields here in WA. So we're contributing to this quite significantly here in our own backyard. The central banks worldwide have significantly increased their gold reserves in recent years, a trend expected to continue through 2026. The institutional buying provides strong support for gold prices by creating consistent demand for large-scale purchases, reducing available supply in the open market, signaling confidence in gold as a reserve asset. Countries across Asia, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe have been diversifying away from traditional currency reserves and toward gold. This strategic shift represents a fundamental change in how central banks view the metal's role in their portfolios. There is a real undermining of the US dollar going on by the BRICS nations. How many of you are familiar with the BRICS nations? Yeah, it's made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the primary nations forming that. And then you've got a lot of partner nations that have come on board as well. And they are forming their own bank. And during the Biden era, right, there was a lot of uncertainty, because what happened, America shot itself in the foot by putting sanctions on Russia due to that conflict that happened in Ukraine. What did they do? They sanctioned Russia out, and all these nations woke up and said if they can do that to Russia, they could do it to us. It's almost like putting all the naughty kids in detention, right? And they talk to each other and go, let's do deals together. And this is kind of what's happened with the BRICS, okay? They're doing deals together, and you know what they did? They started trading oil in their own currencies. Now, you don't think that might be a big deal. You haven't been able to do that because of the arrangement that America had with Saudi Arabia on the petrodollar. In other words, you could not sell oil without using US dollars, okay? If you did, it didn't end well. Remember Gaddafi? Remember Saddam Hussein? They did that. Guess what? Saudi Arabia did not renew the petrodollar agreement it had in June last year, 2024. Okay? This is a big deal because these nations are trading oil. Now, why would America do this? Well, one, they were offering Saudi Arabia protection and defense protection. But America's agenda was that if you own and control a currency that everybody wants, what does that do to your currency? It gives you ultimate power economically and politically. And so this undermining by the BRICS nations has caused everybody going back to what we call real money. Gold and silver, precious metals. The banks, the central banks love gold, okay? Traditionally, that's where the money goes. And this is why there's been so much demand over the last few years on owning gold. Gold, 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 gold.
Something else on that one.
Yeah.
Iron ore to China, 30% of all sales with Rio Tinto and BHP is now all in the yuan, not the US dollar.
Wow.
So that came out like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. There you go.
So a lot of companies are moving away from the US dollar.
And a lot of the central banks have been protecting their currencies by diversifying in different currencies. So you might have the Aussie dollar, you might have the Swiss franc, you might have the yen, you might have the US dollar, obviously. And that's what they've done. But now they're going, let's swap this fiat stuff, which is created by a central bank, which is a credit note, right, not based on anything, to real assets. And this is where the world has been shifting for quite some time. Let's have a look at the next one. Silver, oh my goodness. Again, October 10, 2025. COMEX silver heading back to London amidst record price rallies. Some bizarre stuff happened. And this really affected the price of silver over the last month. The remarkable market anomaly has emerged where London spot prices have climbed substantially higher than COMEX future prices. So you've got the prices in London higher than what they are in America. A situation rarely seen in efficiently functioning markets. As of October 10, 2025, COMEX silver futures traded at $48.10 per ounce, that's US, while London spot prices reached $50.10, creating an unusual $2 price differential that signals serious market dislocation. This gap reflects acute physical tightness in London's bullion market, while COMEX maintains relatively abundant inventories. What did? They brought all the silver over to America as well, okay? And under normal market conditions, such price disparities would quickly disappear through arbitrage, but the persistence of this spread indicates significant structural imbalances between the world's two primary silver trading hubs. This is the crazy thing that they were doing. Because it was a $2 price, they were buying physically silver in America, ship it over to London, and make a profit on the $2 difference. We call it an arbitrage trade. But can you imagine, again, the logistics of moving that metal. And silver, you've got to have a lot more of it because it's not priced like gold. It's a lot cheaper than gold, right? So they're moving tons and tons of silver across. And we have watched, I'll show you in a minute, the price of gold and silver go through the roof. COMEX silver inventories have reached extraordinary levels, 526.1 million troy ounces as of October 10, 2025, approaching the all-time record of 531.9 million ounces recorded earlier in October. This represents nearly 4 years of US domestic consumption stockpiled in COMEX warehouses, creating an unprecedented inventory overhang in New York, while London experiences physical scarcity. Look what's going on in London versus New York. Okay? It's fascinating. The scale of this imbalance is historically unprecedented. While COMEX has periodically held significant inventories, their current stockpile exceeds typical levels by a substantial margin, reflecting the extraordinary market distortions created by recent policy uncertainties and resulting trade flows. Look at this price. This is a percentage of how much these have grown. This is a one-year chart, okay? For the last year, your silver, if you owned silver a year ago, is now up by 76.11%. It's outperformed gold. Gold, great investment, 61.26% from what it was 12 months today. This is a screenshot from this afternoon, a few hours ago. I took this. This is crazy because normally gold and silver are safety for haven of holding value, okay? Investors do this, but this chart has just gone bang. And you've got to remember, silver is also used in industry, okay? We're very wasteful with silver. We have not protected it like gold. So I went recently on one of my godsons wanted, his dad's wish was that he and my son would take his son to a trip to the Perth Mint because he loved precious metals. So I honoured that in his memory about a year ago, and I went on the tour and saw the big gold ton coin that they've got, which was about $90 million about 3 years ago. It's now worth about $200 million just because the price of gold has gone up. Extraordinary, this coin, in our own backyard. And when they were telling the story, they do the demonstration of smelting the gold. You should go do it and see it. It's in our backyard, and people travel millions of miles to see this. Not millions, thousands of miles to see this. And we've got it in our own backyard. But one of the things, when they were decommissioning that one smelting area, they went through all the dust in the area and found millions just in the dust of the gold because they've been doing it for so many years, right? This is how precious this metal is. And so there was a big cleaning operation. Can you imagine the security? Oh, I just sneezed some gold up, you know what I mean? Get that face mask on. It's used in everything from your solar panels to your phones, to your technology. We even blow it up in bombs, okay? We've been very wasteful in bringing it back. And so normally when they do silver mining, they're after copper. It's a byproduct of these kind of mines. It just happens. So there's not many purely silver mines out there, okay? So it's an interesting kind of commodity, but it's the best conductor of electricity. And with everything going into smart technology, well, what does that look like for things that conduct electricity really well? Very interesting, right? You see the conjunctions going on here. I think we're going to become far more protective over our silver moving forward. Not just throw those solar panels on the scrap heap once they're done. It's going to be interesting how this all plays out. And having a look at this, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warns that New York City is to fix crime. Okay, so what's happened in New York this week? Anybody tell me?
Ooh, I know.
You know. Hold on. Anyone else know what's happened in New York this week? He and I do a radio show every Monday on Edge Radio Australia, so he knows what's going on. We've been talking about it on the airwaves. New York has just gotten a new mayor. Okay, anybody know that? Yep. All right, got a new mayor. Americans are very worried about this. Why?
Mass exodus is already...
2 reasons, okay? One, he's Muslim, and Americans are a bit nervous about that. Think about it. What happened a few years ago in New York? The narrative, September 11. Okay, it's still fresh in their mindsets of what's going on. Secondly, what does he describe himself as?
Socialist.
Socialist Democrat. You know, that's funny. It rings a bell, Socialist Democrat. Who else describes himself as a Socialist Democrat?
Bernie Sanders.
Who else? The Australian Labor Party describes himself as the Socialist Democratic Party. Did you know that? Yeah, this man alerted to me. He loves politics. Article 4 in their constitution. You can Google it. When my Labor politician came to my door and that, I said, yeah, you guys are Socialist Democrats. You know that? He goes, okay. I said, you've read your constitution, right? He goes, okay. I said, Article 4 in your constitution. Okay. You haven't read your constitution, have you? I didn't say the obvious out loud. They're socialists running our country, and you wonder why we're getting the policies that we are getting. Okay? How many of them run a business in their whole life? You ever gone to the barbecue and they say, you know what? You know what this country needs? Anyone been to this kind of barbecue? You know what we need in Australia? We need a businessman running this country. Anybody heard that discussion?
Yeah.
Guess what? In America, they got one.
Yeah.
And guess what? He disrupted things and brought change. And guess what? They didn't like it. Why didn't they like it? Because he wasn't one of them. He wasn't trained through the schooling of politicians whether we can control you. And we don't care if you're a Republican, we don't care if you're a Democrat. We just want you to go through our school and you guys fight it out in elections and we'll get the man we want or the woman we got in power. We don't care if they're red or blue. Okay? That's how it works. Trump comes from outside. Nobody saw him as an off chance. That Trump guy, you're fired. The Apprentice, he's not going to get in. He won the election. That wasn't supposed to happen. Who controls the media in the world? 5 corporations. Yep, he's one of them. 5 corporations control it. What do you do when you control the just gave the answer right. What do you do when you control the media? Gave an answer. You control the narrative. We don't like him. Let's bring out bad propaganda about him. So you've got to pull that away and go, what are the facts? What is actually going on? What has actually been said? I've said to people, yes. You know, I don't like Trump. Why not? Well, I don't like the way he talks. Okay, fair enough. I say to him, don't listen to what he says. Watch what he does. Because actions speak louder than words. Is what he's actually doing good for America?
Terrible.
You reckon?
Yeah.
What's terrible?
He is a plant.
Plant of what?
He's a plant.
Of who?
He was planned to be there. You can tell.
By who?
By who? He's got Jesuit associations. He's a Freemason. What more do you need?
Evidence that he's a Jesuit and a Freemason.
Oh, look, he's sent all his kids to the Jesuit schools. He was involved with the Jesuit school. All his cabinet, half of them are all Jesuits.
Okay.
So he's always making the hand signs. You can tell who he is. He's not our friend.
Okay. In terms of what he's doing for America, is it good or bad?
Bad.
How?
I suppose, look what he's doing. I suppose he's playing people off.
Is he?
But
How?
He is. Well, he's ruining the economy with the tariffs.
Is he?
He was pushing, yeah.
Which nations don't charge tariffs?
How do you mean?
Well, does Australia charge tariffs?
Well, even if they do, it wouldn't be as much as the US then. Well, the thing is,
No, yes or no? The question was yes or no. Does Australia charge tariffs?
probably every country charges tariffs.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Australia charges tariffs. If I buy a car from outside of Australia, am I charged a tariff, yes or no? So I'm paying tax on it, yeah? Why?
No.
Why am I charging a tariff on a car in Australia? Why?
Taking work away from Australia.
I'm taking work from Australia. How many car manufacturers are in Australia right now?
Fuck all.
0.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why am I being charged a tariff on an imported car when we don't make cars in Australia anymore? Where's the justice in that?
It's just another tax, isn't it?
Just another tax.
I mean, it's just a way for the government to get more money off it.
Exactly.
It looks better than just like, so you pay a little bit of income, you pay a little bit of GST, you pay a little bit of tariffs, and before you go, you got like half of your income's gone.
Exactly. Who pays the tariff?
Well, we do, the consumer.
The consumers. We do. Exactly. So if Trump charges a tariff on products made outside of America, is that good for Americans or bad for Americans?
Good.
Who thinks it's good?
Yeah.
Who thinks it's bad? Why do you think it's bad?
Well, I personally, consumers in America right now, there's no good alternatives in the States. Like, they're not making electronics,
It's not really
generally
going to be
speaking.
a
A lot of-
Sorry, America's not making electronics?
like Apple, for instance,
Yeah.
where's all the stuff made? It's made in China. Right?
Okay.
So my point is, the American consumer, now to buy the same products, they need to pay for it more. It's the Americans paying the tariffs, not the Chinese.
Yeah,
The Chinese are not paying the tariffs.
Bingo.
It's just the Americans have to pay the tariffs
Right.
Yeah.
when they want the Chinese products.
Yep.
So I don't see how, in the long term,
Yep.
if it brings industry back to America, it might be good.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
the industry right now is in South America.
So how much money has been invested in America since tariffs have come in by corporations?
I don't know.
Roughly 9 trillion. Since Trump's been in 2025, $9 trillion of investment has gone into America to avoid the tariffs. Is that good for the American economy?
Well, that is, yes.
Is that good for American workers?
Yes.
And over 600 billion came from Apple alone. Using
Over 600 billion came from Apple alone. Interesting.
NVIDIA transferred their entire operations into it.
NVIDIA transferred their operations to America.
Intel, instead of paying tariffs, they actually sold 10%.
So he's basically saying to American companies, bring your manufacturing back home and we'll give you tax breaks for it. But we won't, if you don't, your consumers will be paying tariffs. Is that good for Americans or bad for Americans?
Good.
Do you know when it goes to China, they rip off their technology because 50% of the companies in China are government owned. So there's no, for entrepreneurs, there's no protection on intellectual property if you go to China.
Trump wants to deal with that debt as well, doesn't he?
We're going to get to that, absolutely.
Many trillions.
So I love this. I love the diversity in the room. You're allowed to have different political views. You don't have to agree with me. I love the debate. What I don't like is when the left try to cancel us from having an opinion that opposes the mainstream narrative. Well done. Well done. So what I'm trying to do is peel back the layers and go, let's pull out all the media propaganda and the emotionalism around it. What's actually good here and what's actually bad? What's harming America? What's not? Why is this a big deal? Why are we talking about America? Again, because America is the biggest economy in the world. What are they also to Australia?
Allies.
Allies. Big brother. That's a loaded answer. That's a loaded answer. Do you see how we dissect this? It's good to have these debates and discussions. I'm not going to always get it right. Okay? And we can sometimes agree to disagree. But I'll fight for your right to have an opinion. I'm not against the cancel stuff. So what I try to do, let's keep an open mind. Yeah? Because we want to see what's happening in the economies of the world. Listen to what's going on, look at the cause and effect and see what's actually going on. Let's peel back the layers. Let's remove the emotional propaganda that the government and also, in some cases, and the media are pushing towards us. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warns New York City to fix crime, filth in schools or lose even more companies. This is BlackRock. Why are they concerned? Because New York City's got more dangerous. Crime has gone up. This was in April 8, 2025. Fink first arrived in New York during the rough and tumble 1970s when it was plagued by an economic crisis and widespread urban decay. Expressed deep frustration, saying, I believe that my taxes were used to help build out the city. I don't feel the same way anymore. His investment firm BlackRock oversees assets totaling approximately $11.6 trillion and it's headquartered in Manhattan's Hudson Yards. Fink's remarks were reported by Bloomberg News. Since late 2019, approximately 160 Wall Street firms, 160 Wall Street firms collectively managing nearly $1 trillion in assets have moved their headquarters out of New York. Wealth transfer. Wealth is moving out of New York. 160 Wall Street firms. New York's about the Wall Street, the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange is what I'm trying to say. $1 trillion in assets. Gone. Where's the money going? We'll see. Let's have a look at the next one. Fuming. New York City businesses warned of exodus over Hochul's plan to hike payroll taxes to pay for MTA's massive $68 billion capital plan. Who's this? This is the governor, Kathy Hochul. The MTA money train will drive companies straight out of town. They're trying to improve the subways, right? Big Apple businesses are fuming over Governor Kathy Hochul's plot to hike their payroll taxes to pay for the Metropolitan Transport Authority's record-breaking $68 billion capital plan. Who's been to New York? Not been to New York? New York's a fascinating place. You feel like an ant because the buildings are so high. The subway system is incredible, the way they built it. It's so easy to get around, so much easier than London's tube. Anyone been to London? Okay. London, I went on the tube there, I got so confused. Went to New York, could figure it out. It's like a grid. A versus B, you just, okay, I know where I am. After Rudolph Giuliani, New York got really cleaned up. It was a fun place to go to. Really was. I went after September 11th. Great experience. The exit from New York State will be greater. It will lead to fewer investments from business people in New York, predicted billionaire business mogul John Catsimatidis, who owns the Grease Steeds and the grocery chains. Let's just say the grocery chains. Okay? The money is leaving. The businesses are moving out of New York, one of the financial hubs there. Where are they going? Let's have a look at the next slide. Oh, New York has just got a new mayor. Here he is, Zoran Mandiani. And who's congratulating him? Alex Soros. Who's Alex Soros?
George Soros. Something.
George Soros' son, whose inheriting is being groomed to control daddy's billions. Who knows who George Soros is? They couldn't destroy America, so what are they trying to do? Destroy it from within. Destabilize it, disrupt. This is what they do. Isn't it funny when you look at all the protests across the nation, how they've got the same coloured tents everywhere from the same store? You go, where did that was a bulk buy. Must have got a bargain. Who's been funding that? And the rumour is that, it's rumoured that it's filtered through numerous charitable entities. Filtered through, that's the rumour. Follow the money trail.
It's not a rumour anymore, it's been released.
Has been released?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at this. Watch this video. Here is the governor himself. Let's hear what he has to say.
Starting on day one, we will expand the city's special enforcement programs, doubling fines for hazardous violations and tripling them for conditions that are immediately dangerous. And when a really bad landlord, like this guy, refuses to fix it, the city's gonna step in, make the repairs, and send them the bill. If that doesn't work, the city's taking over the building. We're putting the worst landlords out of business.
How many of you want to race out and buy commercial property in London right now, in New York right now? That's great marketing, hey? Bring money to New York. Most expensive property in the world, New York.
Valuations will plummet.
Valuation will plummet. They're leaving the city, the billionaires, the millionaires, because they don't like the taxes, and they're very nervous about the socialist democrat here that's just taken power. Where's the money going? Listen to this guy. Who's this?
Well, there are many parallels that New York and London have, and there are many parallels that Zoran and I have. And congratulate the city of New York. They've chosen, in a bitterly contested election, hope over fear, unity over division, and I'm already experiencing the ripples of hope and happiness coming from his victory.
This is London Khan's governor, right? Congratulating the new election of the governor in New York. And he said it, the parallels here, his words. So what are the parallels here? What do they have in common?
Gold, silver.
Biggest financial centres of the world. These guys aren't conservatives. So from a social narrative, it's a different paradigm. People are going, well, what do we do with these guys? Interesting, isn't it? Trump refused to meet with this guy when he just went to Buckingham Palace. He did not want him in the room because he says he's done a terrible job. Have you seen some of the pictures that are going on in London? What are you seeing?
Petty crime's through the roof.
Petty crime is through the roof. I went to London, felt safe. Do I want to go back now? No. Okay? Isn't it interesting what's happening to the biggest centrals of where all the wealth has been stored? Let's have a look at the next one. What's the financial parallel? Let's have a listen to this one, courtesy of Travis.
Wall Street is turning into Y'all Street. That's all it took to trigger a bunch of liberals. They are all up in my comments telling me that I am wrong, that the New York Stock Exchange is absolutely not moving from New York to Texas, that it is just the electronic portion that's moving to Texas. Darling, that is 95% of the business. That is the trade, the data, the fees, and the money coming to Texas. Not to mention the servers haven't even been in New York since 2010. They're in Jersey. But you know what this whole thing reminds me of? Do y'all remember back when people would stick a phantom hood ornament on a Chrysler 300 and say that it looked like a phantom?
No, it looked like a Chrysler 300.
The badge here still says New York Stock Exchange, but the engine that runs it is being built in Texas. Because you see, when the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange, Intercontinental Exchange, filed for its relocation in February of this year, that is not just a cosmetic thing. That is a legal charter, regulatory authority, and trade engines being set up in Texas. It essentially leaves the Wall Street in New York looking like the King of England. A crown with no power. So here we are again. I was right. Liberals were wrong. Nanny nanny boo boo. It's just fun. Have a day.
I've never heard a financial assessment finish with nanny nanny boo boo before. Maybe I should say that into the night, nanny nanny boo boo. Isn't it interesting? Okay, she's claiming, now this is true, this is a fact. There has been a stock exchange opening up in Texas, okay? That's a fact. So she's saying that the wealth is moving out of New York onto the Texas exchange, all right? Is it replacing it? Well, we'll fact check that in a minute. Let's have a listen of her second video here.
Okay, I cannot believe that this bears repeating again, but since you guys think I am so wrong about this New York Stock Exchange and you are the educated party, then can somebody please explain to me what a charter is? Oh, that's right, it's the legal license that tells the government where your business is based and who gets to tax and regulate it. And before February 2025, where was the charter for the New York Stock Exchange listed? Oh, that's right, 11 Wall Street, New York, New York. Okay, but it's just the electronic portion from Chicago that's moving to Texas. But yet, the relocation is for the charter to Dallas, Texas. So they moved the address out of New York and the business out of Chicago, all to Texas. Because remember, that electronic portion in Chicago, that is 95% of all of the New York Stock Exchange trading. The data, the fees, the transactions, and the actual money. So just let me put that into perspective for you. Texas already hosts companies worth $3.7 trillion on the New York Stock Exchange. If roughly 95% of exchanges activity now falls under a Dallas charter, that is around $3.5 trillion in business rate shifting to the south, leaving maybe $185 billion tied to the New York's old charter base. Listen, y'all cannot claim to be the educated party and be this dumb. This was fun. Have a day.
So there's another wealth transfer going. And what kind of state is Texas? Red or blue? It's a red state. What state is New York? Blue. Interesting, hey? So you see how politics is influencing finances here, okay? You can be red, you can be blue, you can be pink, I don't care, purple, whatever, right? But this is what's going on as far as economics is concerned. Interesting. So let's have a look at this. So, fact checking, because that video went viral, that first one. Does the New York Stock Exchange plan to relocate to Texas after Zoran Mamdani's win? New York Stock Exchange announced relocation from New York City to Texas after Zoran Mamdani's win. Despite the attention the Post received, no announcement was made by the New York Stock Exchange about relocating its main operations from New York City to Texas. Instead, what did occur is the Intercontinental Exchange, which owns and operates the New York Stock Exchange, announced in February 2025 that it would relocate its New York Stock Exchange Chicago division to Texas. Okay, so we do know that Chicago division is going to Texas, all right? As part of this move, ICE also revealed plans to launch a fully electronic trading venue called New York Stock Exchange Texas, headquartered in Dallas. In March, the exchange announced that it had been ongoing operations that Trump Media had listed its stock through the Texas platform. The press release made no attention on the New York Stock Exchange leaving New York's Wall Street headquarters. The relocation distribution was for New York's Stock Exchange Chicago, not the main one, headquarters in New York. Okay? Interesting though, wealth is being transferred. And think about it, it's not hard to move because it's all electronic. These exchanges, it's not like it's not like property where you can't move the thing from one place to the other. It's dirt. Whereas this, it's just electronic. It's one of the most liquid assets in the world, stocks. This is why I like it for that reason, because if I want to get out, I can do it quite quickly, because there's a lot of people who want to do exchanging. Let's have a look at the next one. You doing all right? We okay? Okay. New York Stock Exchange is coming to Dallas. Here's what that means for Texas. Governor Greg Abbott praised the move in a press release Wednesday. Texas is the most powerful economy in the nation. Now we will become the financial capital of America. Abbott said. This is back in February 12 when it was happening. With the launch of the New York Stock Exchange, Texas will expand our financial might in the US and cement a great state as the economic powerhouse on the global stage. New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ are overwhelming the world's two top exchanges, representing $60 trillion in market capitalization. Small change, yeah? Their announcements come in the wake of the proposed Texas Stock Exchange, which has now announced a leadership team that includes big names, the former Governor Rick Perry and former Dallas Federal Reserve President Richard Fisher. They've got some big players on there. All right, bankers. Interesting. All right, let's have a look at the next one. Let's have a look at this. Now, somebody mentioned the debt. Who mentioned the debt? Oh, America is in how many trillions of dollars of debt?
7 or 36?
It's getting bigger every month, isn't it? It's about 36, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It costs them more in interest to pay that debt down than they actually spend on their military every year, okay? That's how expensive it is. It's unsustainable. So Trump has got his work cut out for him. He has got to move and move quickly. Otherwise, America goes bankrupt. Yep.
Their interest repayments are bigger than the entire Australia GDP.
There you go.
And that's obviously being done on purpose as well, right?
Yeah.
Trying to destroy America like that.
The banking cartel.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the banking cartel. Let's have a listen to this. This is an interesting question. This came out of when he was running in his last campaign. Have a listen.
NFTs. I'm curious what you think the future of crypto looks like if, God forbid, you don't win the election.
Future of crypto, what does it look like? Well, I think it's a good future. You know, who knows about anything today? But I think it's a good future. I'll tell you what, you look at values, you look at what's happening and where it's come and where it came from. I think crypto's got a great future. I think it really does. Maybe we'll pay off the $35 trillion in crypto. I'll write out a little piece of paper, 35 trillion crypto. We have no debt, right? That's what I like, right? He likes that idea too, he's laughing.
So he's thinking of writing off America's debt with crypto. Is this a new idea? It's been done historically before.
Really?
Yeah.
The greenback was invented.
The greenback. Abraham Lincoln wanted to work out how to pay his soldiers during the Civil War. What did he do? He created a currency because he didn't want to go in debt to the central bankers, right? The merchants of the time. So he was worried, will they actually accept this? And he was given advice that if it's legal tender to pay off your taxes, then by golly, they'll use the greenback. And sure enough, they did. And that's how he funded the Civil War effort. Interesting. Things that make you go, History has a funny way of repeating itself. Let's have a look at the next video. Is that just some flippant remark that Trump made? Or has he thought about this? Take a listen. This is Fox Business.
What about crypto? You spoke at that crypto conference last weekend, and you said that you'd like crypto to have a more prominent space in America.
Well, you have to understand about crypto. Crypto is a very interesting thing, very high level in certain ways, intellectually very high level. But if we don't do it, China's going to do it. China's going to do it anyway. But if we don't do it, China's doing it. China's already doing it. And if we don't do it, other countries are going to do it. So we might as well be at the forefront. And there are people in crypto that are very, very smart people who do love our country, and they think it's good. Who knows? Maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand them a little crypto check, right? We'll hand them a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you want it to be more prominent in America? How will that work?
Oh, it's going to work easily. It's already prominent. It's moving along. It's very loosely regulated. That's one of the reasons it's moving along. But it is a different form of a currency, and it's going to end up benefiting the country. But if we shut it down, like, Biden's trying to shut it down, Biden doesn't have the intellect to shut it down. Can you imagine this guy's telling you to shut something down like that? He has no idea what the hell it is.
Interesting. He makes the comment again. Maybe we can pay down the debt with Bitcoin. Okay? Now remember what I said before about the BRICS nations and undermining the US dollar. Things that make you go, that's interesting. Folks, wake up. A new financial system is coming into play. And it's going a million miles an hour. Whether you agree with the politics or not is not the issue. It's all changing. And you can be either watch it happen or you can get in the game. All right? That's not advice. Don't go racing out buying Bitcoin or anything like that. I don't own any Bitcoin, just to be transparent. Have a look at the next one. Trump puts this out. For too long, we've relied on taxing a great people using the IRS. Through soft and pathetically weak trade agreements, the American economy has delivered growth and prosperity to the world while taxing ourselves. It's time for that to change. I'm today announcing that it will create the External Revenue Service to collect our tariffs, duties, and all revenue that come from foreign sources. We'll begin charging those that make money off us with trade, and they'll start paying finally their fair share January 2025 with the birthday of the External Revenue Service, Make America Great Again. So he's changing the thing. He's wanting to get rid of the IRS. Do you think an Australian politician might get elected if they came out and said, let's get rid of the ATO? Just thinking aloud, asking for a friend, of course. We've got to think outside the box, folks, because the world's rapidly changing. Take a look. Listen to this. Put your prejudice down. Listen.
She said no tax on it. How about just no tax? You could do that. You know, if the tariffs work out like I think, a thing like that could happen, if you want to know the truth. You know, years ago, 1870 to 1913, we didn't have an income tax. What we had is tariffs, where foreign countries came in and they stole our jobs, they stole our companies, they stole our product, they ripped us off. And, you know, they used to do numbers, and then we went to a tariff system, and the tariff system made so much money. It was when we were the richest, from 1870 to 1913. Then we brilliantly came in with an income tax. No, we don't want others to pay, let's have our people pay. And then you had the Depression in 1928, 1929. I call it 1929. That was a bad time, but you know, you didn't have tariffs, and you had tariffs that ended in 1913. But it was the richest our country ever was. That was President McKinley. In fact, we're renaming the mountain, Mount McKinley in Alaska.
We have a teacher in the room. What subjects do you teach, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I just teach computers, so stay away from politics.
I was looking at the topic he was teaching then. It was history.
Yeah.
That's my point, not politics, history.
Symmetry between the 20s, maybe?
Isn't this interesting? How many times have you seen a politician stand up on a podium and say, let me give you a history lesson. We were better off when we didn't charge taxes, when we didn't pay taxes. Have you ever heard a politician do that before? I haven't in my lifetime until now. What's going on? The economic system is changing, folks. You can bury your head in the sand, or you can get it out of the sand.
Well, it's true what he's saying, which I don't believe for a minute. We're all better off. We don't have to do anything. We're just going to stop paying income tax, right? So
I don't think we do anything.
My point is, it's not going to be like that. It's going to figure out other way to make sure the people on the bottom of the food chain stay on the bottom of the food chain. They're not going to be paid any better off. So yes, they might get rid of income tax, but they'll figure something else out to either they pay less or devalue the money, and they, you know, and yeah, people will be, oh, we're not paying any income tax, but we can now buy less even now than we could before they got rid of the income tax.
Unless you catch the wealth transfer.
Yeah, but I'm saying for ordinary people, like, so it's a good sales pitch, but like I said, I don't believe for a minute anybody that has some influence over this world wants the people on the bottom of the food chain to be better off.
So let me ask you this, stepping back for a minute. There was a suggestion in that exchange there that those who are part of the wealth transfer implied they'll become rich. Yeah, can we agree on that? Let's say you're one of them. Could you help people on the bottom of the food chain in that position then?
Yes.
We see my point? We got to think outside the box here, folks. There's been a lot of propaganda over how many years? We've got to be creative here. You've got to understand the times. If there is a wealth transfer, if that biblical principle is true, that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous, can we agree on that point? Everybody, can we agree on that? If you're righteous, how big are your arms? And if you're, what does righteousness mean? What does that word mean?
Right standing with God.
Bingo. Right standing with God. Relationship with the Creator. How are you going with that? Your heart is for the Creator. The Creator cares about the poor. You read the teachings of Jesus and how much He stuck up for the poor. You do not take advantage of the poor. He is strict on that. You do not put the poor when they're down in the dumps. You don't rub their nose in it. He will defend them. You'll face His defense. But the wealth is stored up for the righteous. Is it a righteous act to help the poor?
Yes.
Where do you want to be positioned? I'm getting goosebumps.
It's not about us.
Bingo. It is not about us. Absolutely. Expand.
If God entrusts us with that wealth, it is not for our benefit.
We can benefit from it, but...
We can benefit from it, but the goal and the heart intention, God looks at our hearts. He wants us to bless the poor. He wants us to radically change this world so that people are turned to righteousness, that they see that the end goal is not material gain or whatever, because those things are so temporary. They are fleeting, they are temporary, they will not bring us eternal joy. The real gift here of inheriting wealth, which we should not be scared of, is to give back to the poor, is to make the nations of this world stand up and pay attention and to see what needs there are and to meet those needs. That's the end goal. It's not about us.
Harvest.
Let's say that you want to talk to Albanese. Let's say you want to call him up. What is the likelihood of you getting through to have a chat with him? 0 chance? If Gina Reinhart rings up and wants to speak to Albanese, what's the likelihood of her getting through?
Very good.
Very good. Why?
Influence.
Influence?
So much money.
Why not? What else? Is she creating employment for Australians? So she's keeping Australians off the poverty line by providing employment for them so they can provide for their families. She's also having an influence on the other nations. Okay? Now, I don't want to get into a political debate of whether you like Gina Reinhart or not. That's not the point. My point is this, is wealth has influence. Now, the wealth is stored up for the righteous. If you are influenced by God and your heart is in alignment with Him, that's good things, yeah? Because He is good. You're a steward of it. You're a caretaker of the wealth. It's not yours, it's His, but you're to be wise in how you look after it, yeah?
Steward of the wealth.
How are you going with your stewardship? With your seed money? It was rhetorical, you don't have to answer it. Let's have a look at the next one.
Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen. Somebody who, if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, dead politically, known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
We need to also factor in not only who's won, which is Trump, but who's lost, which is to say us.
Did you notice the logo at the back? World Economic Forum. I didn't say it. They said it.
Got the colours of Ukraine as well in the back.
Interesting, huh? Do you think, anybody read the 2030 agenda? You will own nothing and be happy. Is that evil or is that righteous? Evil. Interesting what they said about Trump and how they view him. Interesting. Let's have a look at the next one. This is really new. All money left over from the $2,000 payments made to low and middle income USA citizens from the massive tariff income pouring into a country from foreign countries, which will be substantial, will be used to substantially pay down national debt. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Who's getting the money? The $2,000 payments? The USA citizens, not the wealthy. Interesting.
Not undocumented citizens as well.
Not undocumented, not illegal aliens.
And if that happens as well, you can track things through patterns. So if that took place, you would think that there's going to be an even greater outpouring onto the average kind of person as well, you know.
The reason I've included that is what happened to the stimulus checks during COVID.
It added to their tax next year.
Sorry?
It said it came out of our tax at the end of the next year.
In America, I mean.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Good answer. In America, what happened to the stimulus checks?
It was added to the national debt. Correction.
It was added to the national debt, but what did the people do with the money while they're locked down in their homes?
Alcohol spent on life station.
A lot of them put it into crypto. A lot of them put it into the stock market. If you track the patterns of the investments went up, people go, oh goody, I've got $2,000 to play with. Okay? From an economic perspective, I go, money's going back to the citizens. What's that going to do to the markets? You see how the brain thinks? I'm not interested in so much, I'm not filtering it through politics whether I agree with that or not. I'm thinking, what's going to happen to the economy if this happens? You see the point? Let's have a look. This was put out in January 23, as soon as Trump gets in, strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. I won't read through all of this, but let's have a quick, brief look at it, please. Purpose and policies, digital asset industry plays a crucial role, yada yada, protecting and promoting the ability of individual citizens and private sector entities alike to access and use for lawful purposes. That's on open block public blockchain networks. Without persecution, including the ability to develop and deploy software to participate in mining and validating, to transact with other people without lawful, unlawful, or lawful censorship, and to maintain self-custody of digital assets. Why is that important?
Banks can't control it.
Banks can't control it. I had my bank accounts frozen in 2023. I'm dealing with these silly bankers who freeze my bank accounts, which led to me going through a 6-month process through AFCA, the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, and I discovered that they're in bed with the banks, the government, right? Because what do the governments hold on them? A license. Any business that is licensed means it has to dance to their song, right? You want to keep your license, you will do this. The shotgun, remember in the 80s when you heard about all those shotgun hold-ups? Half-sawn shotgun, bank held up, etc. It's never left the bank, but it's pointing at the customers. It's your money. What do you want to draw $5,000 out for, sir? None of your business.
You're right. No, I have a better answer to that. I have a better answer.
What's your answer?
Last time I went to the bank, they say, oh, why are you drawing that much money? I just go, I lost all confidence in the banking system. And she just put her head down, didn't ask any more questions, and started.
I love your answer, sir. I love your answer. Because I feel the same way too. I try to keep as little money in the bank as possible. Just to pay the bills, yeah.
Sorry, I went to get some money and they asked the same question. I said it was for a sex change.
I've heard. How did your wife feel about that answer? Don't answer that. Boy, she puts up with a lot from you. She really does. You want to call your lawyer tonight? All right. Let's have a look at the next. Okay, so promoting and protecting the sovereignty of the United States dollar. Including through actions to promote the development and growth of lawful and legitimate dollar-backed stablecoins worldwide. Protecting and promoting fair and open access to banking services for all law-abiding individual citizens and private sector entities. Why would Trump put that through? Because he had his bank accounts frozen as soon as he announced he was running for politics. I know what that feels like. How are you going to feed your family? How are you going to move money around? I had to have a partner in one of my entities fly in from overseas and identify himself at the bank.
Why would the bankers not want Trump in power?
Why would the bankers not want Trump in power? Good question.
That's right there.
Good question. That's the right question to ask. What's the answer?
They lose the monopoly.
Sorry?
They will lose their monopoly.
Lose their monopoly. We'll get to that. Hold that thought. Let's go to the next one. Providing regulatory clarity and certainty built on technology-neutral regulations. Skip down to taking measures to protect Americans from the risk of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Trump has said under his presidency there'll be no CBDC. What is that? In other words, sir, you've spent too much on burgers this month. We don't want you to be a drain on the health system, therefore we're going to freeze your payments on a burger. Because if you can issue, a central bank can issue a coin, it can freeze it. It can take it out of that wallet. It can even expire so you don't have any real savings. Okay? These are the ideas that have been kicked around with these globalists as they fly in and preach to us that we should be worried about green energy on their private jets, right? Save the planet. Trump has said crypto companies in the US will have tax exemptions. There are currently 15 US crypto coins that will be capital gains tax free for US citizens. Additionally, he's making it tax free for other crypto companies to move to the US and join these tax exemptions. He wants to make America the crypto capital of the world. They have to with the debt they've got, and if they don't, China will do it. It's a race. China wants to be the biggest economy in the world. Passing of the Genius Act. This has been so unrecognised. This has been incredible. What did it do? 3 major things. It legalised stablecoins, recognising it as a form of digital currency, because that was a big uncertainty for investors. Will they shut this down? That was always playing in the back of my mind on that asset class. Are they going to shut it down? Number 2, said stablecoins had to be backed by real-world assets like treasury notes or gold or whatever it is they're representing. It can't just be created in thin air. Gee, who would create things out of thin air? The central banks have been doing that for how many decades? Printing press. The irony is, yeah, treasury notes, but okay, it's got to be backed by something.
That means they're going to pump it though. They're just going to print.
But what's happened to precious metals in this time? I showed you the chart. Real world assets. Makes you think. You got to join the dots here, guys. This is the most significant. Number 3, allowed a crypto company to issue currency, a role always reserved for a central bank. Oh wow. Oh wow. What does that do to the banking cartel of the world? The biggest economy of the world, people, folks, ladies and gentlemen, has now said we will allow tech companies to issue currency. There is a new financial system coming in. Wake up. And the media aren't talking about it. They're not telling you about this. This is huge. Let's have a look again. November could be the new October for US crypto ETFs after shutdown delays, SEC decisions. There's been so much legislation lined up, but because of the shutdown in America, all these ETFs couldn't get approved, which were crypto-based ones. In other words, billions of traditional money is moving into the new crypto space. Billions and billions of dollars. It's just been held up because the government's been shut down. It was supposed to happen in October. They're saying now it'll be November. They're expecting it. It's incredible. It's moving so quickly. What used to take 6 months is taking 2 weeks, guys. Things is moving rapidly. It was almost great to have it. We could catch our breath for a little bit. It's estimated there are 155 exchange-traded funds awaiting approval by the SEC, with the majority of those being crypto ETFs. This is about $200 billion worth of investment expected to pour in. It's big money. The White House just put out, Australia just went over there, Albanese went over there. Look at this. Part of the deal, Australian superannuation funds will increase investments in the United States to $1.44 trillion by 2035, an increase of almost $1 trillion from current levels. In other words, your superannuation can now has to invest more in the United States economies as part of the deal, the trade deal. Another wealth transfer. You see the pattern happening here? How will you position yourself in this wealth transfer? Have another look.
I would say the biggest question from central banks is what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have, what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving, ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill-prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that. Not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing of finance.
Who's he?
Lawrence Fink.
It says it right there. Who is Lawrence Fink?
CEO of BlackRock.
CEO of BlackRock Investments. He is pushing for digitization of assets, of real-world assets. Digitization of assets means that you could potentially own a shopping mall, part of. You'd never get in, right? But you could own it. It's like shares on the stock market. But they're looking at doing this. Technology is rapidly going. In fact, Dubai has just approved digitization of the real estate market, Dubai, where the big money, a lot of big money is. Those Arabs are dripping in money. And that's Lawrence Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, pushing it through quickly. Yes?
I don't know if you know this, you can already buy properties in Australia. The whole property has been tokenized, so you can buy tokens of the property. So you don't buy the whole thing, you might buy $20 worth of property.
I didn't know you could do that in Australia yet.
It's already happening down in Boston, and we're looking at doing it to our property in Vietnam.
There you go. There you go. All right. So, guys, it's changing. We're entering a new era of finance. A few months ago, some of you came before, I had it pegged about here. It's moved. The old financial system, new financial system, is rapidly going to move. 2026 is going to be massive. Get ready. Get ready. So how are you positioning yourself in the great wealth transfer? That's the big question. We've been teaching our students a threefold approach, providing education on preparing for the new economy through Prepare to Prosper. Time is running out. The window is closing, guys. There's still opportunity to get in, but it is closing due to all these geopolitical events. Assisting those who want to start a business but don't know where to start, building the Wealth Foundation, a great course. We also contract to accounting practice that helps students set up asset protection and tax minimization structures under their licenses. And number 3, how traders profit using volatility as a friend in the stock market. Embrace volatility rather than run it from our, we run that through our 20 weeks advanced options trading course 201. We've been helping people on the stock market education front. So we're expecting a volatile stock market because I believe the globalists do not want Trump to do a lot of this change and they want to make him look bad. The economy is just underneath with all that debt, and I think they might want to pull the rug from out and go, he did it, it's his leadership. That's my suspicion of what's going to play out. So I'm expecting it not just to be a free run, but they're going to try to disrupt it. That's what they do, disrupt, disrupt, disrupt. And so this is huge profit potential for those who know how to trade the markets in any direction. They only go 3 directions, up, down, or sideways. And we show our students how to do non-directional trading. So we don't care if it goes up, we don't care if it goes down, as long as the thing moves. Okay? That's pretty powerful when you look at it. Let's have a look at the next one. So
does that mean hold? Is that what you mean by that, holding long term?
No. No, I'll elaborate. Do you have control of your superannuation? Do you have a self-managed super fund? Do you know what it's invested in? The market moves up, down, sideways. Can't go any other direction than that. And we teach students how traders potentially make profits in all 3 market directions using derivative products called stock options. And what we're seeing is these traditional finance is starting to move into the crypto space now very quickly. So knowing these techniques really gives those who've done this education a huge advantage moving forward. They're used for 3 reasons, options: to protect a portfolio, to create cash flow, and to leverage. That's why they were created. They actually created options to protect portfolios, like an insurance. Did you know that you can metaphorically insure a share on the markets? If it's trading at $30, You can buy an option that guarantees that as long as that option is there, you'll still get $30. Even if it crashes down to $15, $10, $5, you'll still be paid $30. Isn't that powerful?
Is that a certain percentage or is that the whole stock?
Whatever the trader decides to insure it for. They pick.
Insure it for?
Yep.
And so would they pay a price on that insurance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But they can profit from it too. This is the powerful thing. And this is why they do options, to create cash flow or to leverage, because you can control for a smaller amount of money a big portfolio, right? You look at the trades of Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, $100,000 on call options. Why didn't she just buy the stock with $100,000? Because she can get a 1-to-100 ratio on the options. Massive leverage that if it goes up, her returns on investments are huge if she gets it right. Massive. And this is the power of options. There are 4 dimensions to making money on the markets. First dimension, what mum and dads do, buy low, sell high. The problem with that is when is low and when is high. And the problem is that most mum and dads don't know when to exit. They have no exit strategy to take profit. And I think it's a real estate strategy applied to the stock market. And the problem is the stock market's a whole different kettle of fish. It's not property. And you've got to recognize that. Number 2, the second dimension is they trade directionally. They try to pick which direction the market may go, up, down, or sideways, and they want to position themselves to profit from that movement. So they use lots of charting and indicators and all that. The problem with that is if you get it right, it's great. If you get it wrong, it can really sting. And it's an educated guess at best in indicators, right? Number 3, income-based trading, collecting payments every week or month. Easiest example is those who do it for stock dividends, right? But you can do this for options. You can pick if I want to be paid weekly, monthly, daily, hourly. It's crazy, right? In some of these things. 4th dimension is non-directional, and this is probably the most favorite of my students, is setting up the trades so it doesn't matter if it goes up or down, as long as the thing moves, you can potentially profit. There's infinite potential to profit in this strategy. And if it doesn't move, it goes sideways, we have a number of mitigation strategies that we teach to defend capital, defend the investment. So that's pretty powerful. How many of you knew you could trade the market when it's going down and potentially make profit?
Rhetorical?
Yep, shorting. So when the scary headlines say, oh, it's all happening, it's like awesome. It's called what I call the sleep at night factor.